Judge,
Please
I'll
state.
read it again. On March 2nd, 2025, officers were dispatched to a traffic hazard. Upon arrival, the officers were monitoring the traffic and crowd control of the patrons leaving the bars that closed around 2 a.m. At approximately 2:20 a.m., the officers observed an altercation occurring in front of D Bar. Officers ran towards the crowd, telling them to stop. As officers approached, the crowd dispersed, and the officer observed the defendant punch a male who fell to the ground and was semi-conscious. The defendant and complainant do not know each other. The officer yelled at the defendant to stop and observed the defendant use his right foot to stomp on the complainant's head while he was laying on the ground, semi-conscious. The officer grabbed the defendant, and the defendant tried to stomp on the complainant's head again, who was now unconscious. The officers were successful in taking the defendant to the ground, and the officers told the defendant to place his hands behind his back, but the defendant refused and resisted by holding his hands under him in front of his chest. The officer was able to get his right arm out from behind him, but the defendant continued to resist and hold his left arm under his chest while the officers continued to give orders to put his hands behind his back. The defendant resisted and said he did nothing wrong. The officers were eventually able to handcuff and detain the defendant.
He is at this point only charged with the resisting.